my name is Enrica Jang. I am Executive Director of Poe Baltimore and the Awards Administrator for the Saturday Visitor Awards, a new honor presented by Poe Baltimore and the Edgar Allan Poe House and Museum, recognizing a new generation of artists and writers inspired by Edgar Allan Poe. We are here this evening with William Doyle, a very special nominee in the 2020 awards because he was nominated in both categories and nominated 3 times this year in the original works category, Extraordinary Tales in Music, and then in the adaptations of Edgar Allan Poe's life and works category, A Dream Within a Dream and The Raven. William, welcome. We're so very pleased to have you. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much for having me back. And before we start, first of all, I wanted to congratulate all the other nominees and award winners and thank the judges and thank everybody behind Poe Baltimore for everything you have done for us. This is truly remarkable and humbling experience to have been nominated and to actually have won anything. This is the first time I've ever won anything, so this is very special for me.
Very well. It's an extraordinary, if you will, extraordinary piece of work. So please tell us about Extraordinary Tales in Music. Tell us about this piece, or the entire composition.
Well, I guess it kind of goes way back to my childhood when I first encountered Edgar Allan Poe, and it left a mark when I read The Cask of Amontillado. I never forgot that. I never forgot the ending. I remember talking to my parents about it and them trying to explain it to me, and I couldn't really understand the piece. And in high school, in a poetry class, I read A Dream Within a Dream, and that began my fascination with Poe and reading about Poe. And I teach music. I'm a professor of music at El Camino College in Torrance. And in my music history classes, I often talk about the influence that literature has had on composers. And everybody from Hector Berlioz, who wrote the Symphonie Fantastique, this wonderful piece, to people that wrote ballets, Igor Stravinsky, to Debussy, all kinds of composers across the board that drew upon literature. And so somewhere in my mind, the wires got crossed, I think. And what I began to wonder was, well, what would Edgar Allan Poe have read? And what led him to the kinds of things that he wrote? So I began looking at his history, his life, read a number of biographies, read his letters, read books about him, things that he had written. And I came up with this idea of Extraordinary Tales in Music. And basically, this is sort of a hybrid of an opera with a concert. There are actually a total of 9 musical pieces in it. 7 of them have vocals. 3 of them are in particular directly related to Edgar Allan Poe. And then there are 2 pieces in there that are just purely instrumental, that function like an overture would at an opera. So as I started crafting the piece, I wanted to tell the story of Edgar Allan Poe starting at the university, again, dealing with literature as composers would have dealt with literature, as I began to deal serious with literature when I was in college. And so the piece, after a little introduction, begins with what I imagine 2 pieces that he would have read, he would have been influenced by. Certainly one was the Odyssey. In fact, he even mentions the Sirens as an introduction to the Murders at the Rue Morgue. He mentions the Sirens. So we know he read that. And I knew that he loved with his mind and imagination to let his mind travel places. So where would he have traveled? Perhaps he read about Marco Polo. Perhaps he dreamt about going to different places. I mean, in his life, he did travel. He was educated, of course, in England, but he traveled to different cities in America. And I imagined, well, what if he could travel back to where his paternal grandfather came from Ireland? That's the second part of the opera. And then the third part deals specifically with 3 of his works. It deals with Dream Within a Dream, this incredibly beautiful but ambiguous poem that takes us into the mind of Edgar Allan Poe, his meeting his Lenore, if you will. The second piece is The Raven. Certainly, it's got to be one of his 2 or 3 most well-known pieces. And then ending with, again, the story that captivated me as a youth and still does, and that would be The Cask of Amontillado. Now, in between the major pieces, there are monologues. We really wanted to have live actors, but unfortunately, at the time we put this together, the college was having a Shakespeare festival and they were doing The Tempest and all the actors were involved. So what do? I'm not going to do it because I'm actually conducting it. So what we decided to do is we would shoot the monologues with voiceovers. And a couple of really talented people that I have to mention. My wife, Wendy, who did all the art design, John Brennick, who did the video, and Nate Ramsey. And the three of them worked together to take pictures, images from Edgar Allan Poe of what his room looked like, to make a 3D model of it, to literally in these monologues put Poe as the speaker, telling us a little bit about what's going on in his life, where he is, what he's thinking about. And so that's how the whole concert opera flows, with monologues in between the major pieces, taking us from basically his time at the University of Virginia all the way through to the end of the Cask of Amontillado, with the point being the way Montresor walls up Fortunato is sort of what Poe did to his critics, people that criticized him, people that said negative things about him even after he died. His works have withstood the test of time. In essence, he's walled up his critics. That's sort of an overview of this 90-minute piece that we only had 3 hours to rehearse. Wednesday night before the concert, that was it. We had 3 hours. We had a 1-hour tech dress rehearsal, and then we just did the thing. So the musicians who played on it, my colleagues, phenomenal job to pull all of that together with about 4 hours worth of rehearsal. So that's kind of the overview.
Well, that is absolutely incredible. And it sounds like a nerve-wracking experience as well. 3 hours. That's amazing. But such a beautiful, beautiful thing with multiple pieces. So I know that we don't choose among our children in terms of our favorite, but there must be something close to your heart, or must have been a favorite part that was deeply personal for you. Is there a specific piece that really just appealed?
Well, hard to say. I will say that probably the ending of the Cask of Amontillado, as I was working on it, I would play it, and my wife, who did the art design for it, was downstairs, and she kept saying, darker, darker, heavier. And so I kept adding and adding and adding. We talked to the vocalist, Anthony Moreno, Dr. Moreno, who's an incredibly talented singer, who helped with some of the direction on it. And he just threw himself into the role of it. In fact, even at the end of, I think it was at the end of The Raven and then at the end of the cast, you could hear people in the audience just go, oh, they're just so captivated by how he just threw himself and literally became Edgar Allan Poe. And, you can't ask for much more than that. So if I had to pick a moment, it might be the end of the cast, because if you watch the broadcast of it, the live performance, it just, when it ends and it goes to black, there's just total silence. The audience didn't know what to do. And that could either be a good thing or a bad thing. It's like, oh God, they didn't get it. They hated it. They left. I don't know. I turned my back to conduct and they left. Or it could be they were really, and then we got a standing ovation after it. So apparently it really hit home. So my wife was right. Darker, darker, heavier.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness, absolutely. Well, we are all the better for it. And congratulations on this incredible win for the entire piece. William did win the Saturday Visitor Award in the Original Works category for Extraordinary Tales in Music. Well, William, we've reached the end of our time, but please tell us how to find more of your work, and where can we find you?
Well, you can go onto my YouTube page. You can just put in Extraordinary Tales in Music, or you can put in Dr. William E. Doyle, either way, and you'll come to it. And there's a number of things that are up on there, including some things we're working on now, some new things. And I'm actually working on something for Poe for Halloween for my students. My college students have asked me, do you have more? Is there more that you're going to do? I said, I have something coming up. So hopefully it'll be ready by Halloween, and maybe we'll enter next year in the festival.
Well, we look forward to seeing more of this incredible work. Thank you, William. Have a wonderful evening. Congratulations on your work.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. And I see our folks out there, and William is wonderful. I see Liam out there now, and he has been tremendous support the last several weeks. We've been showing these interviews by many of the nominees. and the winners. And so so pleased to finally be able to show his interview. Hey, William, how you doing? And I do hope that he's kept his promise and he will submit a piece this year for the awards. But hi, everyone. Enrica here again. It's always funny for me, just personal note, to see that video when we did these. This is just a couple of months ago, but then I still have COVID here, so it's all time's just passing, time's just flying by. And speaking of time, tomorrow, just in just a few hours, it's 8 o'clock. I can't do math in my head really quickly, but at midnight, first thing in the morning, we will be opening the portal for the 2021 call for entries for the Saturday Visitor Awards. Tonight is the night, and I know if you're watching this, you are getting ready to submit. We calling all creators, calling any creator inspired by Edgar Allan Poe, either adapting his works or creating original works inspired by this author that has moved us all, moved the world. We're looking forward to this year's crop of entries, looking forward to all of the submissions, and cannot wait to announce the judges that for our slate this year. The slate coming together, we'll be announcing those soon. So welcome, everybody. Well, per form, we will be talking about just sort of general top line tips and tricks and information about the Saturday Visitor Awards, whether this is your first time seeing us this evening or you've been watching these Q&A, trying to kind of glean more information as time goes on. Some of this stuff you may have heard before, but we'll go over this top level stuff. But then if you have questions, if you would like to ask questions about the awards, don't be shy. Send these to us in the chat. Send these things to us in your comments, and we will highlight at least a few of those and try to answer them tonight. And then we'll be giving you guys some information about how to contact us directly if you have specific questions about your piece. So you cannot see him, cannot hear him, but Mark, our producer, Mark Mullaney, is on with me this evening, and he'll be helping to look for questions in the chat. He might serve these up for me. So first things first, we'll go over some of the top line stuff, just quick frequently asked questions and tips for the Saturday Visitor Awards. Dates to remember. The date is upon us tomorrow. Happy birthday, Edgar Allan Poe, 212. January 19th. We were very fortunate, as a matter of fact, this past weekend to spend a little bit of time with the Poe Museum in Richmond, Virginia, and their birthday bash, Poe at Home. But January 19th, midnight tonight, call for entries opens. Happy birthday to Poe. May 30th is the deadline to enter. So we will be doing one more of these Q&As. The awards entries, a call for entries opens tomorrow. We're going to be back here Monday of next week. Give people an opportunity once they've had an opportunity to get into the portal. If they have any questions, next Monday will be an opportunity for you to come back here and ask any questions that might have occurred now that you've finally been able to get into the portal. But that will happen at midnight tonight. Then you have until May 30th this year to enter. The form will close 11:59 p.m. that day. The submissions are then given over to the judges who enter 3 rounds of judging, and then July 30th, the official nominees for the 2021 Saturday Visitor Awards will be announced, and then the winners announced at a live ceremony and celebration October 2nd at Poe Fest International. That's the International Edgar Allan Poe Festival and Awards. Still a big question mark whether or not that's actually going to be able to happen in person, but whether the awards happen in person, whether the awards happen online, we will be live and we will be ready to give medals to the new winners. So SaturdayVisitorAwards.org is the website for all things Saturday Visitor Awards, including our entry guidelines. You can download a PDF or you can read those online. They have been updated. They're the most updated form we have for you. So please peruse those. If you have any questions, please feel free to send those our way. We also have a list of frequently asked questions on that website, also talking about the history of the awards. And then again, if you have questions, there's a portal on the website, or contact us at contact@poefestinternational.org. We'll have an opportunity to flash that, get a little better view of this email address online in just a bit, but contact at pofestinternational.org if you have specific questions for your entry, or you could submit them tonight. We do request, however, that if you find that you do have specific questions about your entry, please stick to the website or stick to email. Do not use Facebook direct messages or Twitter direct messages to ask us questions about the Saturday Visitor Awards. Staff won't be able to answer questions that way. So if you have specific questions, email us or send me something this evening in the comments. Talking about our Saturday Visitor Awards categories, SVAs are awarded in 2 categories, talking about adaptations of Poe's life or works, or the second category, original works inspired by Poe. And once again, we'll show this fun video talking about the guidelines. Clear as mud? Absolutely no. 2 categories, adaptations of Poe's works. We're looking for adaptations truer to the original form. Portraiture will count here because of Poe's likeness. He was a real person, so portraiture. But this can take a very creative forms. As a matter of fact, next week we'll be talking to someone who created a portrait of Poe with beadwork. And then in the 2019 Saturday Visitor Awards, we had someone who created a portrait entirely word art, but a massive piece, several feet tall, of Poe's likeness. So portraiture, you can get pretty creative with portraiture. Biography falls in the adaptations category because talking about the narrative nature of biography, the story of Poe's life, that would fall here. But important to note that the Saturday Visitor Awards are intended to recognize artistic works rather than academic criticism. Anybody who follows the history of Poe knows there's a lot to argue about. That's a lot of fun. And Poe folk love to argue about Poe, of course, but academic papers, not for the Saturday Visitor Awards. We're looking for artistic works to talk about Poe's life, portraiture, or faithful adaptations of Poe's work. But film, dramatic adaptation, William is a wonderful example, our nominee and winner in the 2020 awards. His entire body of multiple pieces adapting Poe's works, but then the entirety of the piece, an original work and composition by him. So again, adaptations of Poe's works, you can be pretty creative with this, but film, dramatic adaptation, this kind of thing, these are examples. In the original works category, talk about expansive. Poe's life as character in film, novel, or play, not so much an adaptation, but using Poe as this jumping off point for an original work, sequel, prequel, or basis for an original story, people from Poe's life, Poe's character himself, or original novels, original poetry, original stories, this kind of thing. Now, this can get pretty expensive, and of course, things kind of skate. So if you are confused about which category to enter, we do encourage you to write to us and explain, kind of describe your piece, and if you have you need a little bit of help kind of being nudged in one direction or another. Now, I will say that if the judges decide that a piece has been perhaps entered in an inappropriate category, or would do better in the other category, more of a fit for the other category, it is up to the judges to decide to vote to push that entry to the other category. So you're not going to get disqualified just because you may have perhaps should have been in one category or the other. The judges will help do that. So that will not disqualify you. But if you have any questions, or if you just want a question answered, please feel free to reach out. All right, now talking about eligibility, and this is one of the things that kind of trips people up sometimes. We are looking for media, art, performance, and/or writing that adapts or is inspired by Poe's life and works. There are no restrictions, medium or genre. We're looking for creative works. Now, these works must have been, very important to note here, released, printed, distributed, or first performed between January 1, 2018 and December 31, 2020. That's the previous 3 years. Now, it's important to note you may have created your piece during this time. However, if you hadn't pushed it out to the world yet, then you're going to want to do that this year in 2021, and then you will be eligible next year. What we mean by this is in this way, self-published works are also acceptable. If you have pushed this work out into the world, self-published this work, or put it out in social media, this work qualifies the previous 3 years. However, if it has not seen the light of day, has not gotten out of editing yet, you're not going to be eligible until that happens. And social media does count as long as those posts are available to be seen by the public at large. All of our social media settings these days, you can put all kinds of privacy and different kinds of filters on these things so that only certain people can see it. You want to make sure that those posts, whether on your blog or on social media, these are visible to the public. Now, reprinted or re-released materials are discouraged. We do know that people have been creating works inspired by Poe since the man was alive. So this is, Poe has had an outsized impact on world literature, and people have been creating works inspired by Poe for a very long time. We are looking for works that keep Poe in popular culture, that's the culture of today, and looking for something created in the last 3 years. Now, if you've created something in years past, just adding a couple of lines and then re-entering it, we will be checking and verifying each of the pieces to sort of make sure that you meet the general lines of eligibility. So if you're just sort of tweaking something and sort of making it a little bit different just to try to be eligible, don't do that. The judges are going to be ultimately the ones to decide, but we do discourage that. These should be new pieces. Now, a work may be nominated in more than 1 year, but a winning entry may not be entered again. So pieces nominated in previous years, we invite those folks to come back. But if you're a winner forever, and you get to stay in the Pantheon, and you don't get to come back. So a work may be nominated more than 1 year, but a winning entry may not be entered again. All right. So now the portal will open midnight tonight, and the questions that some of the questions, various specific questions that you will be asked, not just in submission of the piece, but also to give the judges an opportunity to sort of get a sense of you as creator. You will be asked to provide a description or synopsis of the work, including the medium or genre, but also able to note size, dimensions, duration, or any site-specific or process details that you feel won't readily come across necessarily because the judges can't be in the presence of the work. Even in a non-pandemic year, the judges can't travel to you to come and see your immersive theater experience, this kind of thing. So hopefully the piece that you are giving to us is going to give the judges a sense of this. But if there is anything you feel that may not be able to sort of bring across, this is your opportunity to share with the judges what they're missing. So we do give a fair amount of space for the creator to share this with the judges. And so we want to give you every opportunity to say this is an immersive theater experience. Describe that for the judges, if that's in fact what it is. But also any other sizes, dimensions, or other process details takes you 1,000 hours to finish something like this. Tell the judges that's an opportunity for you to share with the judges that process and share with them what they might be missing. Now, for long form entries such as films, novels, scripts, or series, obviously the judges are going to be seeing many pieces, especially in the first round of judging. And so we ask the creators to provide a highlight, a piece that they want the judges to see first, so that they don't get lost in the mix. You have the opportunity for any kind of long form piece to select a maximum of 10,000 words that you specifically like the judges to read first, or a timestamp, specifically maximum duration 20 minutes, that you would like the judges to use to evaluate, especially in that very important first round. Now, the piece longer, and if you make it to the next rounds, the judges will have an opportunity to look at the piece in its entirety. So this is not something that you're just restricting the judges. It's not like they can't see the rest of the piece if they're not curious. But for the first round of judging, this is the opportunity for you to make a splash and really give the judges the feel of the work immediately. And you could ask to do that. Now, if you decide that all of your work is precious to you, all of it's perfect, we will default to the first 10,000 words or the first 20 minutes of your entry. So if you just can't decide, cannot kill your darlings, then we'll default to the first 10,000 words, first 20 minutes, and that is totally fine. Or you can tell us, just look at the first 20 minutes, and that is fine. This is especially important to note for series. Now, we did have a wonderful question last week from an author who has been publishing series of children's books for several years, and was a little bit worried that her piece might not qualify because she's been working on a series for a very long time. It is appropriate to submit a piece for the judges to see that is just a piece, that piece that falls within your eligibility. You can give an award to a specific season of your television series. You can give an award to a specific song in a series of songs, that kind of thing. So it's entirely appropriate if you've released a piece in the last 3 years that falls within this eligibility. That piece can be a standalone piece, or a script can be the standalone script away from the performance itself, that kind of thing. That is appropriate to do. And if it falls, as long as it falls within our years of eligibility, that is appropriate. I hope that's clear. If there's any questions about that, I will try to explain a little bit more clearly. Now, going on to the statement of the rights holder. This is very important. Part of your submission, you will be asked to really draw a direct line from your piece to Edgar Allan Poe. Really share with the judges how the piece is inspired by Poe, how it is a direct adaptation of Poe, or an original piece inspired by Poe. This is your opportunity to really make clear to the judges your passion for your work, and what the judges need to know about how it qualifies for the Saturday Visitor Awards, and how this keeps Poe in popular culture. You do have quite an opportunity, quite a bit of space to share your statement with the judges, and this is something that is going to be viewed by the judges alongside your piece. So use the opportunity to connect and talk about how Poe has inspired your creative work. Now, there is a fee to enter a piece, the $25 to enter a piece for SVA consideration. And after you submit your piece, you will be taken to a confirmation page with the link to the payment page portal where when you submit your form. Unfortunately, if you submit without following through to that place to pay your fee, we won't be able to review your piece. So please make sure you don't just hit submit and exit out. You want to make sure you go through to the end and submit your payment for your piece. And if you're submitting more than one piece for consideration, even if it's multiple pieces within a larger body of work, each of those entries, if it's being considered, needs to have its own entry fee. Now, I hope that is clear. All right. Okay. Any questions? Not sure. I'm seeing here. I do see. Shout out for Edgar Allan Poe's birthday. Absolutely. There are actually going to be quite a few celebrations. There were just this past weekend. It's still visible on YouTube and Facebook, I believe, if you visit the Poe Museum Richmond's Facebook page. They did an entire day of Poe programming and virtual tours, very similar to what we did for the Poe Festival. And we had an opportunity, Poe Baltimore had an opportunity to jump in with and play with the folks at the Poe Museum in Richmond. And that is, we've been collaborating more and more over the last several years. And the Poe sites, unfortunately, two of the Poe sites, Philadelphia and New York, I think their programming is very limited right now in the pandemic, but we're looking forward to welcoming them back too, so that all of the Poe sites can play again. But yes, happy birthday, Edgar Allan Poe. Now, I have another question here. Is anyone going to be at Poe's grave? I believe Poe's grave, due to the pandemic. I do believe the University of Maryland is limiting any in-person events. I know for a fact the city of Baltimore is limiting in-person events. So while there will be lots and lots of virtual tributes to Poe, including from Poe Baltimore, unfortunately, COVID ruins everything, doesn't it? Doesn't it? But we will persevere. We push on. Hey, guys. See some other folks in the comments here. All right. If there are any questions, any brave souls or any people who are thinking about entering, I was instructed that I am not plugging enough gift shop merchandise on these videos. So, yummy. Our gift shop, shopping is highly encouraged, and our gift shop is open at poebaltimore.org, and you can peruse Poe gifts, send some socially distant presents to people, your Poe folks all over the world. All right, well, while I'm waiting to see if there are any questions this evening, I will, a couple of plugs here. Do please connect with us. Poe Baltimore, we are the stewards of the internet of Poe, the Edgar Allan Poe House and Museum in Baltimore, as well as the program host of the International Edgar Allan Poe Festival and Awards. So please connect with us at Poe Fest International here on Facebook, Poe Baltimore on Facebook, Poe Fest International or Poe Baltimore on Twitter. We are on Instagram. We are on YouTube. Some of you might be watching us on YouTube. No. And do please help us keep Poe's Chamber Door open, both in person and online. You can make a donation to Poe Baltimore, the Saturday Visitor Awards, Poe Fest International, if you text Poe Baltimore to 44321 to donate. Your contributions help us keep Poe, keep doing really great programs. And Poe House is, in fact, open for reservations. Now, we are not recommending anybody travel very far to come and see us at this time, but if you are in Baltimore, do please consider coming to visit Poe House. Poe House is open on a very limited basis, a reservation only at this time, and they are selling out. They do sell out. Any day that we are open, we have been selling out because we are very limited in the number of reservations that we can take. So we're a couple of weeks out if you're considering coming and seeing us, but do please consider doing so. I see some comments coming up. All right. Question from Aurora. Is that from Annabelle Lee? No. Poe House. My mug was from Poe House. And I love that restaurant too. We love Annabelle Lee. The Annabelle Lee, if for folks who don't know what we're talking about, the Annabelle Lee Tavern here in Baltimore. Oh, those guys are amazing. Hello to Kurt and all the folks there. All right. Well, if there are no questions this evening, we're just counting down the hours until not only Poe's 212th birthday, but also call for entries. The portal will open for the Saturday Visitor Awards at SaturdayVisitorAwards.org. Let me pull up this important information once again so you can see the website here. And again, if you do have questions, if you're feeling a little bit shy, you don't want to send those comments for everybody to see, we understand. Creators, shy bunch, me too. But interested in the entry guidelines, more frequently asked questions, list of questions there, or ways to contact us, do please consider visiting the website. Click around, and then the portal will open tonight. And then, of course, those dates to remember. January 19th, call for entries opens. May 30th is the deadline. All right. Well, we will be back next week. One more time, now that once the portal is open, if anybody has questions about how it worked, or if you want to get a hold of us this week, we are ready and very, very eager to see these pieces. All right. Looking forward to seeing you guys. Thank you very, very much. And good night.